Hey guys, as always, thanks for stopping by. So red flag laws are back on the menu, boys. Let's talk about that. Today's episode is brought to you by CMMG, makers of a lot of cool stuff, including my current favorite. It's the Mark 10, the 10mm Banshee. It's gorgeous, it's made in the USA and backed by a super solid warranty, and it runs like a scalded dog. It's available in 10 different colors. Now, I went with titanium and I couldn't be happier. Check out the Mark 10 and a lot more over at cmmginc.com. All that footage you just saw is from my personal Mark 10. It's the 10mm Banshee. It is a lot of fun. That's just from this past Sunday. I shot Sunday evening, had a ball, did something with it I've never done before with any sort of shorty like that. I think it's an 8-inch barrel or 8.5. It's short. And I'm going to be showing a full episode on that coming up soon, but it won't be tomorrow. It's ready, but it won't be tomorrow because tomorrow is going to be Spicy Friday, so stay tuned for that. Hey, every thumbs up is a huge help. Thank you for that. Someone emailed in this week to say, anybody that asks for a thumbs up at the beginning, I immediately give them a thumbs down. And to that guy I say, thank you for those thumbs up. I would go through a plandemic any day with you Patriots. Y'all rock. So thanks. Yesterday's episode, I made a bad example or used a bad example, and y'all got me. Y'all got me good. I was wrong. Bad example. I was using Instagram, YouTube, Twitter as an example of freedom of speech and oppression and First Amendment stuff, and I never crossed my mind. I know this stuff. I just blew it. I used a bad example. So y'all got me. Y'all were very clear. A bunch of y'all were clear in the comment section. I blew it. I could do better. I was really nervous about the example where I said that if the federal government forces us to stand for the pledge, I'll go kneel at a football game. Not a problem. I'll kneel with those guys for a different reason. Go back and watch the video. Don't twist my words. So I was nervous about that. Y'all were very understanding about that. One guy emailed in, he said, and he put me, anybody that puts you into either one or the other, you shouldn't do it. And he said, so you're telling me that you would rather kneel on America than stand for the flag? How about a third option? I'm going to stand by choice, and I'll put my hand over my heart by choice. I'll say the pledge. I will gladly sing the national anthem or stare at the flag gladly with respect. But I appreciate all y'all. I was more focused on that. I blew it on the other one. Y'all were really, really good in the comment section. Good catch. I blew it. All right, red flag laws. We don't talk about this stuff enough, and I think the average gun owner does not understand it. I know a lot of y'all that are super plugged in, you understand it super well. But I think the average gun owner just doesn't get it and why it's important. If you read a news article, I read a bunch today, just read one a few minutes ago from the Los Angeles Times, they will immediately kind of get you on their side. They'll say, hey, and they use the word wackos. There's just wackos that are out there that probably shouldn't own firearms. Their words, not mine. But they'll say, hey, there's people that are in mental health situations and there's a mental health crisis and we're trying to prevent those people from doing harm to themselves or to others. And okay, on the surface, maybe, and it sounds kind of one thing on the front end, but I want to go through it just a little bit here today and get you guys thinking about it. I do want to hear your comments. New Hampshire just yesterday, or a couple days earlier this week, they have now voted and have passed, they've divided on party lines, but they have passed a red flag law. So New Hampshire Senate, it was on the last day of their session. They pushed a ton of laws through on the last day. God forbid they take a break without putting more laws on the books, or they're not enough already. And they're calling it an extreme risk measure. So anybody in New Hampshire who is a family member, a roommate, I think they called it a housemate, or a romantic partner, can go before a judge and say, hey, there's the person that I live with or my romantic partner, they pose a risk to themselves or to others. That sounds kind of nice. It sounds like we're trying to help people. Red flag laws are dangerous and they don't need to be on the books at all. The big one that they talked about in New Hampshire is the rising suicide rate in New Hampshire. Don't think it doesn't have anything to do with, I don't know, sunshine and not having sunshine in your lives in the winter months in New Hampshire. It's dark up in New England. I lived in New England for a long time. But rising suicide rates, I want to say this. They're trying to push this law through based on suicide rates. I'm going to tell you unequivocally, the government doesn't care about suicide rates. They don't care if we kill ourselves. They don't. They absolutely don't care. The government, the federal government, is why we have high fructose corn syrup in literally everything from drinks to ketchup and every sort of children's food. You can't go down the cereal aisle without it all being high fructose corn syrup. America, we are killing ourselves day in and day out. They don't care if we kill ourselves. The number one killer other than accidents of young people, we're talking bad stuff, this stuff that we put into our face, that and texting and driving. Both of those are avoidable. The government doesn't care about either. This and all these red flag laws are 100% about controlling the populace, controlling the population, and removing firearms from the population. This is one little chip in the chipping away of our freedoms. I'm saying that unequivocally. They don't care. This is not about suicides, not remotely. It's about control. Another scary thing about this law is in New Hampshire is it's ex parte. And what does that mean? That means the accused, the person who is a risk to themselves, so says their ex-girlfriend, a risk to themselves, they don't have to stand in front of the judge. They won't be there when their accuser accuses them. And this is dangerous as well. You are not allowed to stand, or you don't have to be there and be a part of the process. Dangerous, absolutely dangerous to not be able to stand in front of your accuser. It's a little bit nuanced, a little bit. We all need to be watching this in all of our states. I know there already are red flag laws in a bunch of states, but we do need to be watching it. Now, the article yesterday from New Hampshire didn't go too far into this, but there's a lot of states that have these red flag laws, and on the outside, again, they do look like they kind of make sense until you really sit down and talk about it. I had a conversation just last week with a person who's kind of in the middle, probably more anti-gun than pro-gun. And they just said, well, what about these red flag laws? They sound really nice. And I said, okay, on the outside, maybe they sound really nice, but who is making the accusation? There are no gun owners like myself that would say, yeah, we want crazy people to have access to dangerous things, including knives and how about vehicles? All of it is bad. It's all about gun control. It's all it is. It's not about keeping people safe. It's not at all. If it was really about keeping people safe, those judges, when they have the person stand in front of them, the housemate, the roommate, the romantic partner, they would immediately eliminate all kitchen knives and take their car keys away from them, because a vehicle going through a pedestrian area is pretty doggone dangerous. But they don't care about that. But I told this individual, we were having the conversation, and I said, okay, a lot of gun owners are fine with that. We don't want crazy people. Maybe somebody who is chemically imbalanced and having maybe a 48-hour episode, we wouldn't want to just lock and load for them and hand them something dangerous, including car keys. It's not about that. Here's the problem. It's not about all that. The real problem is who's making these decisions. You have a person stand in front of a judge and say, hey, my roommate is acting like this, or my ex-boyfriend, we broke up 2 weeks ago, but he seems very, very dangerous. You have somebody that is not trained, that is not a person anywhere qualified to make a mental health assessment. They get to stand in front of a judge and then decide about that person's constitutional rights. It is dangerous. I'm not a big slippery slope person. I'm just saying clearly and plainly it is dangerous, and we need to watch it. What's going on in New Hampshire is not good. This is why we need to stay involved and stay close and tight with our local representatives. This stuff gets me fired up because it's important. Again, it's not, I don't see this as anything other than gun control. Yes, there is a mental health crisis going on in the United States. It's bad. I mean, it really is. There's a lot of bad stuff going on. People aren't getting the care that they need. Veterans aren't getting the care that they need. And it's just bad. I mean, you can go right out my window here and see vets holding up signs. I don't know about their mental health state, but they're in a struggle. But again, this is not about anything besides the government taking control of our lives. Now, all of these red flag laws have kind of been on the back burner. A lot of this gun control stuff has been on the back burner here in 2020 because apparently we've been focused in on other nonsense. But I want to say this, there's more coming. I think after the election, after things calm down, and after we get back to real lives and we take off the masks in our lives, I think we're going to see more of these laws being pushed through, and we need to stay on top of it. To anyone that is against our freedoms, mine or yours, or against these United States, against anything about that this republic stands for, or against the Constitution of the United States, all of it, to those folks, I say from my cold, dead hands, bye.